right now. Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
Happy Thanksgiving Eve. It's a big night in Pittsburgh tonight, and thank you so much for joining us here in the Fan Cave. Bob Pompeani, Chris Mueller is over in Studio A in person tonight, and we'll be taking your calls at 412-575-2600. Chris, we saw a pretty interesting hockey game tonight. Penguins come away with their fourth straight win. They had to go to a shootout to do it, and it was Evgeny Malkin who was the hero in this one. On the night he was honored, and Tristan Jarry got his 100th career win. So they're stacking wins, something the Steelers can't seem to do.
No, I agree. They are stacking wins. It's something, Bob, that I said they were going to have to do, get at least a couple, like 4 or 5 game win streaks to offset the big losing streak earlier in the season. Malkin, I think, came into the game having missed his last 7 shootout opportunities. It doesn't get very many of them. You got the storybook ending to the game. And that's just, what happens on the ice and kind of the nitty-gritty of mid-November hockey. We're all looking for a couple of signs from this team, and we got them. Nice, kind of buttoned-up game here, a tight checking or tight chance-wise game where both goalies play pretty well. You know what I'm thinking, though, Bob? I'm thinking big picture. Man, you look at the Crosby, Malkin, Letang pregame picture. Malkin's wife and kid are there. How lucky are we? I know the party, the music's slowing down at the party. They're playing the last slow dance song. The keg is starting to get kicked with these guys. Who knows how much longer it's going to be any good. But, man, it has been one heck of a run to behold when you see those 3 players together celebrating Malkin that way. Not many franchises in any sport get something like that. In fact, none get something like what the Penguins have given fans as far as the longevity of that trio.
No, and you can say what you want about the postseason and the one-and-dones that have happened recently. I could make a case that they could have won 2 of the last 3 of those if they had some good goaltending. But the point is, regular season here means something. This traditional New Year's or Thanksgiving Eve night, people come in. It's a good atmosphere. I've always loved going up there for that. They also seem to play on New Year's Eve quite a bit. But the point is, those games matter. In the NHL, you need your gate. Your gate is important. This team made decisions in this past offseason that were met with some criticism. Why are you bringing back this group? Well, this group is still a pretty effective group. They're now 10-7-3, even with a 7-game losing streak. I got to believe, even though this conference is difficult, I think they're going to be in a position to get in. And if you get in, you never know what's going to happen. And I think that's all, at this point, you can hope for with this.
Yeah, I like that they took another bite at the apple. They weren't going to spend the money they would have saved by not bringing back Malkin and Letang and find better players. They just weren't. That's the nature of the beast in free agency in the NHL. You were always going to have to hope that those guys were willing to were amenable to discounts or to prices and ranges of contract length that the team was good with. When you have this kind of situation, though, where it's an aging core that's been so successful, I think I'm not, reinventing the wheel here, Bob. It's about the health of those guys. It's about Crosby especially just continuing to stay ageless in terms of how he plays. There's no real appreciable drop-off there. And then it's your Ricard Rakels, your Zuckers, guys like that. Do you get – obviously Gensel, I'd lump him in his own category, but – it's those secondary players, those guys who are clearly a line below the main billing. Do they stay healthy and play well and play at a high level all year? If those things happen, you check those couple of boxes, then we could be talking about something here in April.
And yeah, exactly. That's what you want, and we'll see how it goes. I know that they don't have a lot to offer in their minor league system right now. One guy who I'd like to see up here is Ty Smith, who they acquired in a trade. He seems to be NHL worthy. He's a young guy, and they need more young guys up here. But right now, there's really not a spot for him because of the salary cap situation. But, if they stay healthy, I'll be interested to see what they do. And if they get into the playoffs, if they're healthy, and if their goaltending is healthy specifically, I wonder, what they can do. I'm not going to discount that they can win a series or 2, maybe more, because they have that much talent.
Yeah, I was going to say, the playoffs are not a young man or not an old man's game in the NHL. You do see, there's a reason you tend to see younger teams end up going deeper. It's a crucible, and the legs go at some point usually, but they have more championship pedigree than just about anybody else in this era. The Blackhawks, they can claim 3 titles. Tampa Bay obviously doing what they did, but this is one of those teams that I know we get frustrated with them in town, but I try to remind myself again how fortunate we are to have watched it And the fact that if you are a fan of another team that has to run into the Penguins, even if you've seen them bow out in the playoffs early the last several years in a row, Bob, you can't possibly feel comfortable in a series against them if they're healthy until you kind of put the stake through their heart. That's what these guys are all about. If their goaltending holds up and their health holds up, I think they can beat anybody in a 7-game series.
But the question is, can they do it for 4 straight series in a row? But we'll see if that happens. I just love the fact that if they get in, it's exciting time of the spring where you can count on those games being exciting all the way through. We're due for a break. We'll take it. When we come back, we'll talk some football. We'll also open up the phone lines and hear from you. It's 412-575-2600. We're also simulcasting on 93.7 The Fan, Chris Mueller's home base. We'll be back with those conversations next.